and thanks so much for being here. Hi, I'm Teresa from 360 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio and my YouTube channel. So today's tutorial is an amazing bag. It's a Shamballa bag. And if you love a jigsaw puzzle, which is why I love bag making, because it's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, but you get more out of it because you can keep it, this bag is going to be the bag for you to make. It's a perfect size. It's a perfect shoulder bag or crossbody for everyday use, and it's a classy looking bag. Check this out, the Veronica shoulder bag or crossbody bag from Shamballa. Look at this. Isn't that stunning? That is absolutely gorgeous. So if you remember my tutorial for the beautiful sunset bag that I did, it's the same kind of thing where you've got different pieces to patchwork together, but look at the gorgeous look of this bag. So on the back, we have a large zipper pocket with a large, generous size zipper pocket on the back. We have hidden strap connectors for our D-ring connectors on both sides. And on the front, we have this gorgeous mosaic of different types of ideas on how you can do a patchwork look or, you know, a wonderful mosaic pattern and color matching, which is what I did because I really think purple and orange go amazing together, purple being my favorite color. And then this gorgeous two-tone crossbody strap. All my hardware is rainbow. And so I've done a crossbody strap. So the fabrics that I used, sorry, excuse me. This eggplant vinyl is from Galaxy Custom Creation. This floral purple, blue, orange is from Lens Mills Outlet and Berry. This black and swirl, it's very iridescent. It might be hard to see here on camera, but it does pick up a lot of different colors like purples and oranges. That's from Lens Mills as well. This purple and orange is from Sam Fabric Creation, and this gorgeous iridescent croco is from Sam Fabric Creation as well. And then of course on the back, I have the Lens Mills floral and the orange croco from Sam Fabric, and the orange croco for the strap, and a two-tone with the eggplant purple from Galaxy Custom. So features of the bag, like I said, you've got this, and all my lining is from Sam Fabric. So there's the lining, this gorgeous purple and blue, and you have a large zipper pocket at the back. You have a recessed zipper panel in the center, and I have a nice zipper end as well on mine. So when you open it up, actually it looks like it's a small bag, but it really isn't. Look at the size inside, and now you can see that gorgeous lining from Sam Fabric. This is a large bag. So the pattern does have a zipper pocket, so it's a large, you can just see it, the zipper pocket on the inside, nice size. But I added a slip pocket on the other side. It's not in the pattern, but you can add it, easy peasy to do. So I did it, all I did was cut out 2 zipper pocket linings, and then I made a slip pocket on the other side. So that's big enough to put my Samsung S25 Ultra, and I did an overlay on the zipper, on the slip pocket. This is a stunning bag, and it's a nice size. I have my zippers closing to the right because I wear my bag on my right shoulder as a shoulder bag, and then as a crossbody it would be going on my left shoulder, but I always have the bag on my right hip, my right side. So I like to have my zippers on this side of me, and even my back zipper worked out that way too. So get your pattern, figure out what colors and fabrics and textures you're going to use to make your Veronica shoulder bag, crossbody bag from Shamballa, and join me on the other side before I forget, infomercial, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. That goes a long way to help boost the YouTube algorithms. And as well, I do go into detail on how I explain how everything does get done and sewn, because I always keep in the back of my mind that there is a brand new YouTube watching, or a brand new bag maker watching YouTube for the first time to learn how to make bags, just like we were all brand new at one point in time. All right, so get your pattern, figure out what fabrics you're going to use, what color blocking you're going to do, and what mosaic you're going to decide to do, and sew up this bag with me. All right, so we're going to start the Veronica shoulder bag from Shamballa. We're going to start with making our strap. So I'm making a two-tone color strap, and this is the main strap, and I've cut my fabric 2 inches wide. And then the contrasting accent is going to be this eggplant. So this is from, of course, Sam Fabric Creation. And then this eggplant is from Galaxy Custom. And I've cut this 1.5 inches wide and however long it is. Now, I didn't have a full length of this orangey iridescent croco, so I cut 2 pieces the same. And if you haven't joined up 2 pieces to create one long strap, this is what we're going to do now. So you take your one piece on the left side, I have it in my left hand, and then the other one in the right hand, and I'm matching up the patterns, and you put them right sides together, line up your corners and your top edge, and then line up the side, your side edge. So you have them right angles to each other. And then what I do is, because you can't see this point on the other side, I just make a mark on this side, because this is the side I'm going to be sewing. And you're going to sew from this corner to this corner, back stitching before and after, and that will join them. You can draw a line, a diagonal line, but I eyeball everything, so where's my join? So I've sewn that across like that. I'm now going to trim that to about 1/4 inch. So we'll just be trimming the corner off. And then when we open it up, we have a join. And on the wrong side, open up your seams. I'm going to put double-sided tape on either side of this seam to hold it down. I have Murphy and Frankie in here, and they're fooling around. If you hear any noise, that's the 2 of them goofing around, play fighting and chewing each other up. All right. Okay, so I've got double-sided tape, and then I'm just going to open up that seam and fold those edges down and stick them together. Now, typically I would top stitch either side, but in this instance, because I don't really want to see any stitching, I mean, that'll be the underside of the strap, I'm just going to leave it. And then if you have any little excess here, then trim that off, kind of meet up your edges. All right, so continuing on with our strap, I showed you how to join 2 pieces of faux leather together to create a longer strap. And this is what we have now. So what I have done, my crossbody strap is going to be finished 1 inch wide. So you can see here, this is where the join is. And then with this piece, when it was 2 inches wide, I drew a line down the center, put double-sided tape on either side, and then folded those raw edges into the center. And then you can see here, this is where the join is, where we sewed the the two pieces together, and it kind of goes in on an angle here and an angle here so that you don't have the seam all in one place. But this is a little heavier duty faux leather, and it is a little bulky where those seams were. I guess I could have trimmed them a little better, but I can take one of my flat edge pliers and I can kind of squish that seam down, or if you have a hammer, pound it just to kind of squish that seam down, make it a little flatter, a little less bulky on both sides. And that really does make a difference. It takes the bulk out of that join. And then with the eggplant color that I did 1.5 inches wide, I did the same. Drew a center line, double-sided tape on each raw edge on the wrong side, folded them into the center, and then, so that's the right side. So on the underside where the two raw edges meet, then I ran a strip of double-sided tape, I have 1/4 inch, and I ran a strip of double-sided tape all the way down that center. So now what we're going to do is we're putting these two together to make a two-tone strap. And so with the wider strap, wrong side up, so you have your seam here, your two raw edges, I'm just going to put this down, and then I'm going to start pulling back off the double-sided tape. And what we'll be doing, so you can see here, there's my two raw edges together, and we're going to be lining up the two raw edges, center it here to create a two-tone strap, and then your right side and your right side are showing. So we'll do that. Line up your center lines. It's actually fairly easy. And to center that, the purple one down the middle of the orange one. And this makes a really nice strap. Okay, and then I'll just trim that off. I knew my orange was going to be longer. All right, so this is what we have now. So there's the right side of the purple. Trying to see if I can get better lighting here. It's hard. And then there's the other side. So I'm going to now top stitch, because this will be the top of the strap. I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch from this edge and 1/8 of an inch from that edge. But when I finish sewing this side first, then I'm going to start back at the top edge and sew down that side. That will prevent your strap from twisting like that, because the straps do have a tendency to do that. So we'll do the 1/8 of an inch. My stitch length is at a 4. Oh, here comes Frankie. Hi, Frankie. No, the windows aren't open. The air conditioning is going to come on. Okay, and then we'll just burn those threads. Watch your nose. All right, so there is our strap, our two-tone strap. And there's the underside. Okay, so now what we're going to do, the hardware I'm using is Rainbow. So I have 2 1-inch swivel clasps. I have 2 strap ends. Unfortunately, I didn't have Rainbow, so I'm going to be using gunmetal. And then I have a slider. Now, this is a wide mouth slider I get from Waywack. And I prefer to use this type of a slider, and it's pretty too. So I prefer to use this type of a slider instead of the little square tri-glides with the bar that moves in the center, because it's very difficult that when you've been sewing vinyl, thick vinyl, or, you know, it doesn't move. You really have to force the adjuster to adjust, whereas this one gives you more space and to move freely. All right, so taking the right side up which is the purple side, we're going to go from underneath, up the hole, over the bar, and down through the other hole. And then we are going to put on our one strap end before I rivet it. Okay, so there's a strap end. Oh, and I have my, there they are. I need my screws. All right. Okay, I don't need those. All right. So when I do my straps or any kind of bag tag or magnetic snap, I always use a bit of glue in here. All I'm going to do is take a little bead, a little bit, and put it down into each strap connector, and that will help it hold on to the fabric. Just a little bit. You don't want a lot because you don't want it oozing out. It probably will ooze out to a certain extent. Oh, bit of noise. When you hear this sound, it's the air conditioning that's on, and my vent is right under here, right where the sound is. All right, so this is the right side of the bag. This is the right side of the strap connector. So I'm just going to slide that over top of my strap. You may need your pliers there to squish it flat. And slide it on. There, it slides on better, but then you might have glue oozing out. Okay. So that fits on. So there's the strap connector. I've got glue on my fingers, and I'm going to take my little electric screwdriver and screw in each one of these, and it's magnetic. And if the magnetism seems to go a little bit, I rub it on one of my magnets I have here. I just rub the screw head on the magnet, and that remagnetizes everything. So, and it does a great job. All right, so we're just going to screw those screws in. Make sure that your strap ends are even on both sides and they're pushed all the way down. Depending on the thickness of your faux leather or leather, you may have to use an awl or a stylus to make holes first, but this one does a good job. All right. All right, so we have one strap end on. Unfortunately, it's not rainbow, but you're not really going to see them. So now we have to rivet on our strap and rivet it in place. And I do have rainbow hardware, which is wonderful. Okay, so I'll use those two. There's more purple on them. I just have little caps. Okay. And pull your strap slider down and fold it so that your strap connector is even, your strap is even on both sides. Now I need to leave room for this. I don't like leaving such a big gap here, but I have to be able to get my rivet press in between here and in between my, sorry, excuse me. I just had a filling done this morning and my mouth is still frozen. All right, so this is the right side, and I'm going to punch a hole in the center, but I have to be able to get my rivet press in between the strap connector and the slide. So we'll pop a hole in the center of everything. All right, and then I'll pop my post in and my cap. What happened? I'm missing a cap. Oh, there it is. Okay, and then I'll set my rivet. I hang it over the edge so that this part will hang over the edge and give me a little bit more space. And I make sure that gets seated in there. And I have to stand to push. All right, bang. All right, there we have our strap adjuster and our first strap end. All right, so take, right now, if you haven't done this before, this is going to be in detail. So I pull this, have this part on the right side, and you still have your strap right side up. Take one of your swivel clasps, make sure that this part that spins around is on the bottom, feed that through, and then go all the way back to your strap adjuster and take this raw end, feed it through underneath, move your swivel clasp down and then over the bar and then back through that other hole. Give yourself a little bit of room. And then we will take it right side up. This part of the swivel clasp hanging on the bottom, fit that through, and then we will attach our other strap connector. I already have the glue in there, and so right side up, to burn my threads at this end. And so the right side of the strap connector is on here, and we'll put that on and screw it on. And this this definitely elevates the look of your strap. Okay, there's some of the glue oozing out. Have Kleenex ready or baby wipes or whatever. And that fits beautifully. All right, take my screwdriver and screw those holes in. All right, so they're flush, and there's our strap connector on this end. Now slide your swivel clasp up, fold this end down so that you're seeing the right side, and then we're going to just do exactly the same, and we're going to punch a hole and place a rivet there. Try and get as close as I can. Oh, there it is. Oh, there goes Murphy. Murphy is very, very cute. He's lucky he's cute, but he is a barker. All right, pop your post in. So that's my right side, and then I'll pop the cap on the other side. And then we'll set the rivet. Now we have our strap done, and it's really, really pretty. So you can see how easy with this wide mouth slider, how easy it slides, but it's not loose. It's not a loose slider. So there is our crossbody adjustable strap, and I'll be back. All right, so we're going to start working on our front panel and piecing this whole mosaic together. So you're going to need your front panel stabilizer, and I have my Biani soft and stable foam, so you'll need that. Put that aside for the moment. I have my bag tag and my washer for my bag tag set aside so I can remember to put this on. And then what I have laid out, you'll need your front panel piece A, B, C, D, and E. And they're all exterior pieces. So you have one exterior piece cut for each of these. And I've kind of laid them out like this in the bag shape. So you're going to need at first your front panel A and front panel B piece. And then I'm going to take these remaining three pieces, put them over here on my work table, making sure I keep them in the same bag position. So you're going to take your pattern piece A and B, and you also have a measurement here because this is a drop-in lining bag. Love, love, love drop-in lining. So I have those marks marked on the wrong side. So take your pattern piece A and B and take these two edges, right sides together, And we're going to clip them, stitch them, and then flip them and top stitch each of those edges. All right, so we'll open that up and we will splay our seams open, butterfly them open, and then on the right side, we're going to top stitch down each edge, and we're going to do that for all the pieces. Make sure that your seam on the underside is open for the top stitching. And then we'll do the other side. All right, then get pattern piece C. So here's A and B. Pattern piece C gets attached onto B. So right sides together. Line up. This one has a little notch out of that, so make sure it lines up with this straight edge. Line up your raw edges. And then we'll stitch them together. Oops, there was a clip. Starting off good. Okay. And we will stitch those together. And the same with this end, has that little notch, so it should line up with this raw edge. We'll stitch these together and then flip them and top stitch. It will get bulky where the seams are, so pull that open. If you need to, you can use double-sided tape on these, on the seam allowance on the wrong side, to hold all of that open. So I'm going to now top stitch that seam. Making sure my under seams are open. All right, and then we'll go down the other side. My tablet decided to do a software update in the middle of my recording. All right, so we have piece A, B, and C. and we have D and E, and we've sewn D and E together. So now these two pieces get connected. So take your pattern piece D and E, flip it over top of A, B, and C, line up your raw edges, including making sure that these two edges match. And then we're going to stitch everything together, flip it, and top stitch. And everything should connect and match. All right, now we'll stitch it all. All right, so we'll open that up, splay our seams open. If you have a seam roller and you need to use that to open them up, that works. Okay, what I'm going to do, because this is the longest seam, I'm going to put double-sided tape on either edge of this seam allowance, and then when I open it, it'll hold it down for my top stitching, and it'll just make it a lot easier. Little stiff here where all these seams are all joining. Okay, and then I'll do it on the other side. This just helps hold everything down so you're not fighting with it when you're top stitching it. All right, and then we'll just top stitch those guys. All right, when I get to that bulky center, I need to make sure I hold those seams down. Use a hump jumper over there if you need to. I just hand crank. And then up the other side. Oops, the threads are caught there. This looks sharp. Clearly I love color. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to decide where I want my bag tag, and I'm probably going to put it in this area here. Right there. I could go right in the center, but okay. I'm going to put it in this corner because then you can really see the colors. Just kind of pop my, this is kind of what I do. So I have an idea so I can see better how it's centered and how it looks. I take a marker, I pull the prongs up as straight as I can, and I paint the bottom edges, the bottom curves of the prongs. And then I lay it up over top of the area that I want it and kind of center it. And then just push those prongs down and they make marks. Let me just seal that up. Just like that. Okay, air conditioning's kicked on. I'm hoping you can see it. I'm having a hard time seeing. Okay, there's one mark and there's the other mark. All right, so duct tape. I put duct tape in behind to help secure it and help stabilize the fabric so that nothing will pull through. Okay, and this is before we put our foam on the back. So I'm just going to take my duct tape, and on the underside, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it where it would kind of be centered on the underside. And take my seam ripper. I've moved everything around. Oh, there it is, it fell. And then I will do my slit marks. What those marks are. All right, then what I also do is with my, because these are my new bag tags, they just say 360. You can see that the prong sits a lot higher off the actual bag tag, and there leaves a gap between the bag tag and the fabric. So I just take some of my glue, whether it's this Walmart glue or the Beacons Fabri-Tac, and I just kind of put a drop or two and smear that drop all around so that we're not going to get an excess amount of glue, and make sure I cover the entire back of my bag tag and over top of that prong thing. And then I put, make sure it's going the right way, and then I stick it in the prongs, the holes I made. Making sure not to get glue everywhere. Push it down and make sure I squish the fabric onto it. And then look to make sure I have it straight on this side. It's got to come down this way a little bit more. Okay, put my washer over top, display my prongs open, and then I put another piece of duct tape along the back to protect everything else from those washers. All right, so there is our front. And then I'm going to stick my foam on the back. Now you can see that that the lines I have drawn following the pattern for where we're going to turn this raw edge down as a, for a fold line, I think is what's going to happen here. And my foam will sit right underneath. So I'll put the foam on off camera and then I'll be back. All right, so working on our back panel now, you're going to need one of your short zippers with the zipper pull on and burn your edges. And in the pattern, there's a measurement for a zipper tab. that we put on the right side of the zipper, because we're going to have our zipper pull closing to the left. So we're just going to work on that at the moment. I just cut mine. I didn't do any measurement because I know it's going to be trimmed afterwards. So I'm just going to clip that on, and then we're going to stitch across that and then flip it and top stitch. And I'm just going to ensure that my zipper tab is kept straight. And then, and I forgot to mention, sorry, right sides together. And then we will flip it, keeping that folded edge straight, and then I'll top stitch. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim my edges here, just in line with my zipper. All right, so we will take, so now we have pattern piece. It is the back zipper pocket, and it's one lining that you've cut, and it's cut on the fold. So with this pattern piece, I have double-sided tape on the top and on the bottom. You'll need your back panel side, which is exterior D, back panel D. And you cut one exterior, and I've already put my foam on the back because it had pattern pieces for the foam, although I'm not sure why we couldn't have put them all together. We're just going to put this pattern piece aside for the moment. You're going to need your back panel A top, and you cut one exterior, and you're going to need your back panel bottom piece B, and we cut one exterior, and your zipper is going to go in between that. And on the back bottom B, I have double-sided tape across the top edge, and on our back panel top A, I have double-sided tape along the bottom edge, and on this piece I have marked that fold line. All right, so with our bottom piece, take the double-sided tape backing off, take your zipper, flip it upside down, so right sides together, your teeth are your right side together with this, and line up your left edge of your zipper because we're pulling it and closing it to the left. So line that up, and and your top edges along that top raw edge. And then you're going to take your back panel, back zipper pocket lining, and take the double-sided tape off of one of the edges, unless it's directional. It doesn't matter whether it's the top or the bottom, but I'm using the top. And then we're going to line up the edge of our lining, so right sides together, and the wrong side of your zipper is showing, so line up these raw edges on the side and the top edge of your zipper, and then line up your raw edges of the lining along the top edge of the zipper. Okay, and then we're going to stitch across here at the seam allowance in the pattern to enclose that zipper in there. And you'll have to move your zipper pull out of the way, so make sure your needle is down, lift your presser foot, find your zipper and pull it out of the way, and then carry on stitching. Oops. All right, and then we're going to just close the zipper, pull everything down. I like to clip the sides just to make sure everything stays lined up. And this piece is a little on the thicker side, so I like to just make sure that my sides are staying lined up. Okay, because we're folding this back and we're going to top stitch across this folded edge, but I just want to make sure all of this is lining up. All right, so top stitch that now. All right. Okay, just like that. Now take this pattern piece, the top part, double-sided tape backing off, and your right side is up. Flip that over and line up the left edge, making sure that your edges here, raw edges on the left side, line up. And stick to the zipper. Everything's lining up. I'm going to keep this edge folded. It's moving on me, or clipped. I don't like that that lining is moving. It's slippery. Okay, and that'll make it easier for me to see if that line, make sure it lines up straight. Okay, and then flip it over to the lining side, and then we're going to flip our lining, the bottom, up to the top and attach it to the zipper. So we're making a zipper sandwich, ensuring that these raw edges stay aligned together and stay straight. And stick that on. Okay, and then we will sew that at the seam allowance in the pattern and then flip it all and top stitch. All right, so there's part of our back now, and then we can trim this off. Trim that zipper tab off and line it up. Line that edge up with your top and bottom piece. Perfect, beautiful. That's pretty cool. All right, now before we go on with this side, we're just going to fold this back. I'm going to, first of all, clip the lining pieces together, make a fold, just to line them up. Okay. I'm just going to clip these edges and then we're going to stitch. So I'll just flip this up and I'm just going to stitch up here as far as I can go. All right, so now we're going to take our back panel side piece, and you have one exterior. It's back panel side D, and you have one exterior, and there's the drop down line I've already marked on here. And we have this so far. So this is going to look like that. And so now we're going to sew these together. We're going to flip them like this, line up. Make sure everything lines up. So I'm going to line it up from the bottom corner and clip. Line up. When you clip, make sure you catch your lining in there as well. And that will close up that side of your zipper pocket. Okay, and we'll stitch along there and flip it and top stitch. This is really cool. I really like this bag and it matches up perfectly. All right, so to make our piping, which really, really elevates the look of a bag, there's a certain measurement in the pattern for the width of your piping with your exterior and then the length as well. 2 pieces, you'll need one for the front and one for the back. So I have put 1/4 inch double-sided tape all the way down the center. And then one edge, I have put 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. The piping that I'm using, it's Dritz Home Creative DIY, and it's 5/32 inches cable cord. And it's a package of 10 yards. And I think I got this on Amazon, but this is what I'm using. And I've cut a measurement to almost the length of this piping, maybe about 1.25 inches shorter. Burn both ends. I've also changed out my foot. I have a zipper foot here, so that it leaves my center toe open on the one side so I can get as close to the piping as I can. All right, so remove the center backing of your double-sided tape. Yikes. And then lay your cording down the center, and I'm just going to kind of guesstimate about 1.25 inches from that edge. Put your piping all the way down that center double-sided tape. Don't stretch it or pull it, but remove the backing from the 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. And then we're going to fold the raw edges together, or together, I should say. All right. Now we're going to baste this together so to make sure that it stays together. All right, so I have already done one. So I'm just going to fold it in half and mark my center. along the raw edge. Do that for both pieces. Oops. All right, so there is our basted piping. And I'm going to work on the back first. I've marked my center on the back, and in the pattern there are certain marks to where the piping goes up, and I've used my fabric notcher and notched little notches out of the side where the piping ends, and it'll veer off to the side. So I'm going to put double-sided tape all the way around here because I just find that that helps make it easier for me. I'll put it all the way at the top. All right, so I'm just going to take the back piece. We're going to work with the back. And we'll still clip. All right, so take one of your pipings and match your centers. And clip as you go all around. You'll need to clip into the piping to get it around those curves. Just little 1/8 of an inch snips. All right, so I have the piping all clipped on, and I have it tapering off where I have it notched at a certain measurement in the pattern. So I'm just going to baste this on and go all the way around. Where's my notch? Oh, there's the notch there. Okay. Cool. All right, and then we'll trim off these guys. I'm gonna get some of that double-sided tape off there. I went right to the top and I didn't need to. Just trim that off like that for now. All right, there's our piping on. That'll look really sharp. All right, I'll be back. I'll do the other side now. All righty, so now we're going to be working on our gussets. So you will need your hidden connector piece A. You have 2 main pieces. You need 2 of your D-rings. And your gusset part 1, or sorry, gusset exterior D, you have 2 exterior pieces of that. And on the pattern, I have already marked my all the marks that are on the pattern piece. I already took my D-ring connector piece and folded it into the center and top stitched the 2 pieces ready to go. So I've already done one of the side gussets with the hidden connector. Now I have 1 inch hardware, and it calls for 3/4 inch, but it fits perfectly. So I have already installed this hidden connector, and then I added a rivet on the bottom just to keep those in place. And then I still have my foam So your gusset stabilizer foam, you have 2 pieces of that as well. And then I'll put my foam on off camera when I've done the other connector. So in the pattern, all of the marks are on the pattern piece, but when I draw my connector piece, all I did was I just drew the width of the on the pattern, the width of the bottom of the line, and then I kind of just freehand up and made a little flap here. So you're only going to cut the flap out. You're not going to cut along that line, so that when you put your D-ring connector in and push it down, you have a nice clean fold. So when we take our D-ring connector, we're going to have it right side together with right side. So you're going to see the wrong side up, push it in. Mine are a little longer than what's in the pattern. That's okay. Make sure that when you put it in, they're straight, so that when you push it in, you've got this little flap pushed down to create an edge here. And then I'm going to just clip that at the top just to keep that D-ring connector straight, so it doesn't get pushed out of the way. I do have my zipper foot on my machine. All right, so we have the D-ring connector pushed into this cut, and you've made a little nice right side fold. I have it clipped to the top edge so it doesn't move. Turn it over to the wrong side, and about where this slit line is right here, we're going to stitch within the 2 corners, an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just above that slip to hold on our D-ring connector. So we have it stitched on like that. Then take your D-ring and put that on. And then we're going to take this end and put it through that slit mark, that slit that's still open, ensuring that that flap stays pulled down. Pull that flap that you just put in and make sure it's snug. Flip it over to the wrong side up, and I'm going to clip those together, the 2 flaps together, to keep them together and to keep them straight. Those 2 ends. Keeping your D-ring going upward. Then we're going to turn up these flaps, turn it to this side. Pull all of your pieces together, these 2 ends together, and then across this flap, we're going to stitch it, and make sure you keep it straight and everything is snug. Pull that flap right down so you can catch it. That's why your zipper foot is very handy to have right about now, so that you don't hit your D-ring. I broke a needle already doing the other one. All right, so there is our second connector. Now I'm just going to draw a little dot here, and I'm going to put a rivet in there just to make sure that they get held on. All right, we have our 2 D-ring connectors done now. And then I'm going to glue my foam on now that the connectors are done, and then I'll be back. All right, so I did off camera, we take our 2 gusset pieces, clip them together, right sides together, clip them and sew them at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then flip them open and then top stitch, open up that seam allowance, and then top stitch on either side. So starting with the back panel, we're now going to attach the gusset to the back panel. So we match up that center bottom gusset seam, and clip all the way around the gusset. Clip the bottom, and then I'll match up the ends. So we'll match up these two ends. The top, I like to clip the top to be on the safe side. Piping sticking out there. All right, snip into your, snip into your gusset so that we can ease it around that curve. All right, so I have my zipper foot on, and I'm going to be sewing. The piping is in here on the top part, and I'm going to be sewing as close to the piping as I can. First of all, I'm doing 1/8 of an inch basting stitch to get rid of all the clips, and then I'll go back over with getting closer to that piping edge. All right, so I did the 1/8 basting stitch, and then I came in right up against my piping with my zipper foot and sewed that all around, and it looks, if we just turn it out a little bit, it looks amazing. So pretty. Now off camera, I'm just going to go and repeat the exact same steps to attach the front. I'll clip everything together, mark my centers, clip it all, sew it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just to baste it on, and then I'll go back in and sew the actual seam allowance, and then I'll trim back all of my seams, and then I'll be back. All right, so I have sewn both the front and the back panel to the gusset. I've trimmed all of my seams to about between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And then I snipped into everything all around all of the curves here. And we're ready to turn it. So let's see what this bag is going to look like. Easier to turn than other bags. Oh, this is so pretty. I love the color blocking on this bag. Very nice. And you can make it yours and do any kind of color blocking. I just decided to go wild with the purple and the orange. Okay, so let's get this all turned out. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? I absolutely love it. Look at that. With our D-ring connectors and our piping on the front and the back. And so right now I'm just going to put double-sided tape all around the top edge because this is a drop-in lining bag. So I'll do that off camera. You don't need to see me put double-sided tape on, but I'll put a 1/4 inch double-sided tape all around the inside. I'm not going to fold it over at this point in time yet because it'll just pop open and it's too hot and humid right now. So, and I'll be back to work on the lining with you. All right, so now we're going to be working on our interior lining pieces. So take your lining main panel and you have 2 lining pieces cut. Just put one aside for the moment. Make sure your centers are cut, or that you have your centers marked. And then you're also going to need your last short zipper with the zipper pull on, and make sure that you burn the ends of the zipper to prevent fraying. All right, so we'll just put that aside as well. Then you're also going to need your zip pocket piece, and it says here that you cut 1 lining piece on the fold. I cut 2 because I'm going to also include in this bag a slip pocket on the other side, on the front inside of the bag. So we're just going to take our the lining piece for the zipper pocket and put that aside with the zipper for now, and I'm going to work on the slip pocket that's not in the pattern. So I've just cut a second zipper pocket piece exactly like the one that we're going to be doing with the zipper pocket. I've drawn down the sides. I've drawn a 1/2 inch line. You can do 1 inch, 3/4 inch, depends on what size you want, but I figure 1/2 inch. I've got double-sided tape down each side, so we'll take the double-sided tape off these sides and fold the raw edges into that line that we drew, the 1/2 inch line. Okay. And it doesn't matter, unless you have directional print, it doesn't matter which is top and which is bottom. Then take your double-sided tape again, and on, each side, just go up halfway approximately with a double-sided tape within that fold. Doesn't have to be perfect or measured. And then we're going to fold these folded edges together and create our slip pocket. So just take your 2 folded edges, meet them at the top. Ensure that your side folded edges match perfectly on both sides. Okay, and then squish all the air out. I'm going to create a crease on the bottom there as a fold. Okay, and now take a piece. I have a piece of the exterior, and I've cut it 1 inch wide and a little bit longer than the width of this new slip pocket. I've drawn a center line, double-sided tape down both sides. We're not folding it into the line, but take the backing off of both edges. Lay this down wrong side up. Take the raw edges of your slip pocket and center them just at that line, maybe even slightly below the line, the center line. You could base the top to keep it together. I'm not doing that. That's why I always cut it longer, so that you have room to maneuver around. Okay, and then fold the other raw edge over top of that raw edge of the lining, ensuring that when you do fold it, your 2 edges, your back edge and your front edge, meet together, so that when you sew it and top stitch, it's going to match. You're going to be able to sew it top and bottom without missing anything. All right, so what I'm going to do, my back might be slightly longer. That's okay. Nobody's going to see it. I'm going to stitch 1/4 inch up and then 1/8 inch. That doesn't want to cut. All right, so there is our slip pocket. I'm just going to trim these ends off and then burn my threads. And then there's a certain measurement in the pattern. I'm just going to fold this to create a center crease at the top so I can know where to center it. Double-sided tape along the bottom edge, just using 1/8 of an inch, just along that bottom fold, and that'll help stick it on before we sew it on. Okay, so I have my crease, and then there's a certain measurement in the pattern to measure down, and then line up your center. You could make this into a double slip pocket, but I'm just going to have it as a single. Make sure you keep your ruler straight. I'm going to go down this way. And then just lay that center, your edge on there, and then squish it down. Okay. Just like that. And then I'm going to stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around the 3 sides. And then just burn your threads. Okay, and there is our slip pocket, and my phone should fit in there quite nicely, which it does. Beautiful. All right, so now we're going to go to the next lining for our zipper. And I didn't make a zipper facing. I'm just going to use my lining piece. So you have your zipper pocket piece. You've cut, well, I cut the 2 linings because one is for the slip pocket. So on the back of one of your lining pieces, I'm going to draw my zipper box. Lining piece, my zipper box. And this is how I'm doing my zipper box. So make sure you mark your centers on your lining piece. And I've already marked the center on my main lining piece, but I'm just marking the center on my zipper. All right, measure down, center, and I'll get my painter's tape or masking tape. Oops, it's upside down. Measure that on, center it. Center your lining piece, match the centers, and I'm just going to use my painter's tape or masking tape, it's the same thing, and hold down the sides. I'm going to change my stitch length down to a 2. I like using a shorter stitch length for when I sew my zipper boxes. And then I'm going to stitch all around that zipper box. All right, so just like that. Forgot to mention, wrong side up. The right sides are together. Sorry. All right, so I just take that, kind of fold it in half, just to make a small little cut on that center line. And then I'll cut all along the center line and create my triangles. Just like we did with, similar to the other one, I think. You could do a zipper overlay. I'm just doing it this way. I like using the lining instead of cutting a separate facing. So I like using the lining as the facing. All right, then we're going to take some double-sided tape. And I'm just going to put double-sided tape all around the box, giving it enough space so that when I turn it to the other side, I can stick the tape down to the back of the other side. All right, stick everything through, flip it to the wrong side up, and pull your lining through. I'm just going to clip this bottom edge first. And then I pull the double-sided tape backing off the top edge and the side edges, and I work it all to create our finished zipper box. Stick tape. My cheapy Dollar Tree tape does not like this waterproof nylon. Won't stick. Okay, there's our zipper box. Now we will take our zipper, double-sided tape across the top and bottom edge. Okay, take the backing off. Decide whether you want your zipper closing to the left or closing to the right. So I'm going to have mine closing to the left. Take your zipper box, line that up and center it over top of your zipper. Your zipper should be the same length as your lining. Mine might be slightly longer because I always cut mine slightly longer. And just center that. Center your box over top of your zipper. And then I'm going to stitch all the way around this zipper box, and I'll pull my threads to the back. If you have to adjust your zipper, that's the beauty of the double-sided tape. You can adjust your zipper. Okay. The air conditioning just kicked on. All right, so we'll tie our threads to the back. Okay, burn our threads. Okay. So there we have our zipper sewn on. If it's longer on the back, then cut that off, trim it off, and reburn those ends. Down here, fan on here. Okay, pull back your lining to expose the sides and the top double-sided tape that we put on, and pull the double-sided tape off. We don't need it anymore. We don't have to worry about the bottom piece. All right, then fold up the bottom edge to the top edge, lining up your top right and left corners, clip, and then we will we'll sew the top edge and the sides. All right, now we have our added slip pocket and our zipper pocket all done. Okay, I'll be back. All right, so now we're going to be working on our zipper panels. You're going to need, at some point in time, your zipper pull. So I'm just going to put that aside for now. At some point in time, your zipper end, unless you have chosen to make a fabric or exterior zipper tab, but I'll put that aside. You'll need your longest zipper. Draw a line across a certain measurement down and across here. And then you're going to need your zipper panel piece. You have 2 lining and 2 exterior. And there are measurements in the pattern for measuring each one of the one of the main exterior panels, there's a measurement to mark a line on either end, double-sided tape on both those ends. And then all the other pieces, the last exterior piece, we're just going to draw the line on one edge and then double-sided tape on both edges. And then the lining pieces, the same, lining on one, or line on one side, and then the double-sided tape on both those edges. So we'll just put those aside for now. And we're going to create our 90-degree turn zipper, or otherwise known as the Butler method. So we've drawn our line. I'm going to pull my zipper tape apart, and I'm going to fold on that line, pinch it. I like to make a nice crease on these, ensuring that your two edges are together. When you pinch it at the corner, you can see that this back piece pops up. Take that back piece and the fold, and you're going to line up that fold right along underneath your zipper teeth. Oops. Might be hard for me. I can't get at the right angle, but anyhow, and then I'm going to pin that into place. Don't stab yourself. I always stab myself. So we have it looking like this. So your fold is right under your zipper teeth. Do the same on the other side. Fold at that line. Give it a good crease. Make sure that your two edges are lined up. Pinch that outer corner. Your back pops up, and then you can line up that fold right underneath your zipper teeth, and then clip that as well. And then we're going to sew this down right along these edges, because you don't want your basting to hold these ends. You don't want your basting stitches shown in the seam allowance. So we're going to stitch that down these edges. But when I stitch them, I turn it up this way, and I stitch from this side and down either side. And I stitch to the teeth, back, and then back stitch back. And then that way you're not stitching over, you're not sewing over top of your teeth. Remove your zipper or your pin. And then the other side, do it for the other side as well. So basically you're sewing about 1/8 of an inch along that edge to sew the that edge of the zipper down. Oh, my pins are bent from sewing the sewing the sides. All right, so this is what we have. Then we're going to trim off this excess edge, and then we're going to burn it to ensure that your edges of your zipper don't fray. Always use utility scissors when you cut zipper teeth. Don't use your good fabric scissors. Okay, and that's what we have at the moment, and I'll be back. All right, so working with the zipper panels, I've done 3 of them already. So the one that had the 2 measurements on either side, I folded those edges in, and so the raw edge folded to the line on both sides, and we're going to use those edges as a guide. So what I have done, the edge of each of the lining pieces, the one edge I folded to that line, and then I still drew the other line on the other side, and then put double-sided tape, and then I line up these edges Hope you can see that. Lined up the folded edges, made sure that everything was even, and then folded the edge over so that it met this edge here. So you can probably see that a little better. So holding that down and then folded it so that these edges were even. And I did that for the other lining as well. So I'm going to show you on the exterior piece. It's easier to see. So I'm going to pull back the double-sided tape on the one edge, fold the raw edge to that line. And the measurements are all in the pattern, just like that. Now I'm going to take my template guide of the two edges, line up, first of all, take the double-sided tape off this other end, line up these two folded edges here, making sure that this is in alignment and this is in alignment. Hold them down and then fold this raw edge to that line. And ensure that these two edges are straight in alignment. If this one is sticking a little too far out this way, fold it a little bit more in so that these edges are even. But they should pretty well be even if we are doing the measurements. All right, I'll be back. All right, we're going to be attaching our zipper facings to our zipper. So we've already done our Butler method 90-degree turn. So we're going to separate our zipper pieces at this moment. On each of my facing pieces, the two lining and the two exterior, I've put double-sided tape across the top edge of each one. So just take an exterior and a lining and put them aside. So with the top edge, take the double-sided tape off and then take the curve of the zipper. So right sides together. So in this case, the curve is on my left side. And we're going to line up the teeth to where that fold ends. So the teeth are going to kind of start there. And then we line up the zipper, the top of the zipper to the top edge of that facing all the way to the end. Double-sided tape across the top edge of the zipper all the way across, even over top of the teeth. And then take one of your lining pieces. Oh, I'm so used to putting double-sided tape over top of the zipper as well. But anyways, you've already got double-sided tape on your lining. So take the backing off. I'm going to have double-sided tape on double-sided tape. Line up your folded edge with this edge, ensuring that the top corners match. Line your sides up and your top, and we're creating a zipper sandwich. It's lunchtime too, so making me hungry. And your two folded edges at the ends should match. If they don't, like my lining piece is slightly, for whatever reason, slightly longer now. I'm going to unfold the lining and just give it create a new fold along that folded edge. Of the exterior, and make sure that those two edges, folded edges, line up. So now they match. And I'm going to stitch right across the top edge of this zipper, but I'm going to do the other side first. So with your exterior, take the backing off the double-sided tape. Now your curved edge of the zipper is going to be on your right side. And so the right side of the zipper, which is your teeth down, together with the right side of your exterior, line up those zipper teeth with that at that fold and attach it to the raw edge of your facing. And then I won't forget I have double-sided tape on this lining already. And now take the right side fold of your lining and line it up with the right side edge of your exterior. And the raw edge of your lining, line it up with the top edge of your zipper, making a zipper sandwich on this piece. Oops, and everything's sticking. And again, if your ends, your folded ends, are not matching, then adjust them. So my lining again is slightly off, and I'll just undo the double-sided tape, refold, because you don't want the lining peeking out over top of your exterior. All right, so I'm going to now take both pieces and I'm going to sew right up alongside that zipper on both sides. All right, so now we're going to take both pieces and we're going to, I'm just going to snip the corner of that so that you won't see it. Just snip it off. All right, take both of our edges, line up your sides, your folded edges, trim off these corners too on either side of that zipper. On both pieces. All right, and now match up the other side edges. And clip all of your raw edges, and we're going to do this on both pieces. So I'm just going to do this one with you on camera, and then I'll do the other one off camera. It's exactly the same procedure. Okay. Pull your lining and your exterior away from this, pull it away from the zipper so there aren't any puckers. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch down these folded edges across the raw edge. We're going to baste and up the sides and top stitch across the folded edge. I'm going to start on my bottom where the raw edge is, and I don't have to double back stitch. And that's an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. All right, so there we have the one side. All right, so with your two interior linings, the one with the slip pocket and the one with the zipper pull, you're going to take your zipper facings, top zipper facings, and with right side up, that means the teeth side, on this one with the zipper pull, because my zipper pull is pulling to the left, I have the curve on the left side. So that is the right side showing, and match your centers, clip it this way. And then on the piece that I added my slip pocket to, I have the right side up, and I have the curve, and I've matched the centers, and I have the curve on my right side. And we're just going to baste that on across that facing edge. for both pieces. We'll paste it on. All right, so there's the one side and the other side. Now with pattern piece exterior D, you have two exterior pieces, and you have a curved edge and you have a line to mark for your turning top. So I have already marked that on the wrong side, and I've marked my centers as well. So with each lining piece, we're going to clip this right side down. Oh, sorry, I forgot. No, we're going to clip this right side down, right sides together, matching the centers. And we'll do this for both pieces. Okay, so for both pieces, we're going to stitch across this top edge at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we're going to flip it and top stitch. All right, so now we're going to top stitch along here, but first we flip up our zipper facing, and then we're going to top stitch along the fold of the lining, and that will catch this seam allowance, which is heading downward. It'll catch that seam allowance. And we'll do that on both pieces. All right, and that will help our zipper facing sit up on both of these, and I'll be back. All right, we're going to sew our lining panels together. So I have them already clipped, ensuring that these two seams match and all of our centers match. So we're going to sew down the sides and the bottom. Now watch your seam allowance in the pattern, because it'll start at a certain seam allowance up here, and when you get past a certain point, then you're going to enlarge your seam allowance to a certain measurement that's in the pattern, and then ensure that your bottom is sewn at that larger seam allowance as well, and then we'll box our corners. As you're sewing up to the top, when you get to the same point that you started increasing your seam allowance on this side, you have an increased seam allowance on the far side now. So as you come up to the top, then sew and start graduating out to the main seam allowance in the pattern that you finished the top with. That makes sense. So your top edges here and here are at a smaller seam allowance, and then you can see how I have graduated to a larger seam allowance and a larger seam allowance, a larger seam allowance, and then I started coming here and graduating to a smaller seam allowance. Okay, so before we box the corners, I'm going to trim off my seams. Just cut my seam allowance down to about 1/8 of an inch. On the sides and on the bottom. All right, and then we will take our corners and pop them. Make sure that your seams match on either side. Nest your side seam and bottom seam, one seam allowance going this way and the other one going that way, so that it reduces bulk depending on what your fabric is. Mine's pretty thin. And clip your corners. All right, so make sure that when you nest the other side, that this seam is folded towards me. So now this one will be folded towards me and the other one will be on the other side, so that on the bottom you don't have one seam that's nested going this way and then on this side you have it going the other way, so it looks twisted. Not that anybody's going to see it, but it just finishes it better. And then clip these and then stitch across the edges to box your corners. At that larger seam allowance. I don't know if you can hear the air conditioning. I'm using my Bluetooth for audio to see if that'll help. Not being able to hear the air conditioning in my audio. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim those edges off. Maybe about 1/4 inch seam allowance, leave them at. Okay, now at this point, so there is our lining. Now at this point, I am going to put double-sided tape all the way around the top edge of here. Folding that's the side seams over to the one side that matches which way this edge is folded over. And then I'll catch that with my double-sided tape and to keep it held down. Take the backing off your double-sided tape. And I'm going to fold those raw edges to the line, and I'm doing my side seams first, ensuring that those side seams match up, and I'll clip the side seams, depending on how it goes that way. Making sure that they line up. And then I'll fold these edges to the line, and I will clip as well. Lots of clipping. All right, so we have everything clipped right now, and I'll be back. All right, so now we're going to take our exterior. We have already put the double-sided tape on, and we're going to fold those corners, the edges down, the sides down first, and also we're going to meet those lines. Now, one of the things is, after you take your double-sided tape off, just do tiny little snips all around these curves to help it lay better, and then fold this all down to the line. Okay, beautiful. All right, so this is the front of the bag. This is a drop-in lining, which I absolutely love. Now, most bag makers make their bags so that the top zipper closes to the left. I like my bags closing to the right because I wear my bags on my right and I want access to the zipper. So I'm going to have the curves of my zipper, which are right here. So the 90 degrees that we did, I'm going to have them on my left side as the front of the bag is facing out. Tuck your zippers inside. So that means my interior zipper pocket is going to be on the front panel. All right, stick your lining inside your exterior. Line up your sides. So now you have a mark here for your side seam. So line these up. Make sure that your lining edge is just a smidge below the exterior so that it is not peeking up over top. So like maybe a 1/16. And then clip that around. Attach it on both sides. There we go. And then just clip them all the way around. Okay, I'll clip, this is what I meant by just having it slightly below the exterior top edge, just so that you can just see the top edge peeking out from the inside. Okay, now I'm going to take my zippers and I'm just going to clip those teeth together just to keep them out of the way, hopefully. Put the zipper pull on now. All right, so I'm just clipping the zipper teeth, shoving that down. I'm going to increase my top stitch length to a 4, anything in here. All right, I am now going to top stitch all the way around that. And I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to do it from the inside out. Yikes. All right, and I'll start at one of the ends, because then when I start at this end at the seam here, then when I do my tying, I can tie it off right in here and try and, as it's melting, stick it into that seam. Okay, this is going to be fun. Gonna be tight. no. What's happened here? Okay, so I thought I was recording, but I just wanted to show you that there is the bag all top stitched all around the top end. And now we're going to put our zipper end, our zipper pull and our zipper end onto our zipper. So I'm just pulling up the facing and I've lined up these two folded ends and the curves of my zipper, and I've just clipped along the teeth just to line everything up, and then I cut about 2 inches off just to make sure that these ends were even, and then I'm just going to burn the ends of the zipper. Put my zipper pull on. Try to make sure that my teeth are lined up so that I can line up my zipper pull and keep it straight. But if I line up, there we go, and see, push that on. There we go. All right, take the clips off. And do the zipper up, and everything should match. So this should match the two ends, your two zippers, and your ends at this end. And I'll push that in. Now I could even, with this style of zipper, I've got these really nice square pulls. I could even add a zipper tab to that, just for something more to grab onto. All right, so with your zipper end, I'm just going to fold the one edge in half and then over top of the teeth. Fold this end in half and over top of the teeth. So we have a thin little thing like that, and then I'm going to melt it and squish it all together
and just clip it for the moment. All right, and then get your zipper end. And I have the screw already in the back. It came that way, so I'll take that screw out. Okay, and then I'll get my fabric glue that I got from Walmart that's similar to Beacon's Fabri-Tac, but not as good. All right, and then I'll put a drop or two inside the zipper end, and that will help hold the zipper end onto the zipper. Okay. Take the clip off and then shove your zipper end onto your zipper. And that glue will help hold everything in place. Shove it on as far as you can. Turn it upside down, and then we'll put the screw in, and we're almost done. Yay! Then we just have to put our strap on. Get your screw in there until it's flush with the back. Okay. And there is our zipper. This is really, really pretty. Oh, I love it. It's done. All right, let's put our strap on. So we've already done our strap. And I use that orange Croco, still the rainbow hardware, other than my strap ends were gunmetal. So let's put our crossbody strap on. We can tuck our zipper tail down there. This is so pretty. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Shamballa bags are really, really nice bags to make. And they're so much fun too, because it's like putting that's why I love making bags so much. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And this is a jigsaw puzzle. And it's amazing. I love this bag. And of course it's purple and orange, and they both go so well together. So because I like wearing my bag as a shoulder bag, on my right shoulder as a shoulder bag, and it on my right side, I like having my zippers right here instead of on here if you were to have them pulling to the left. So I always have mine pulling to the right, and my back zipper is going in the right direction for me as well. So we have this really good size back zipper pocket, lots of room. And then we have this beautiful zipper facing. Open it up. And now on my front wall, I have that zipper pocket on the front. And on the back, I have that slip pocket that I added as an extra feature. So this is a stunning bag. And the Sam Fabric Creation fabrics to help make this mosaic, this gorgeous mosaic, really elevate the look of this bag. I absolutely love it. I think this is going to be my bag for sure. But those hidden strap connectors, amazing. All right, so thank you so much for joining me in this tutorial making this beautiful Veronica crossbody from Shamballa bags. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. Also, please remember to give me the thumbs up. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. It really, really goes a long way to boost my channel in the algorithms of YouTube land. And I appreciate every single one of you being here. So thank you so much. And we will see you at the next tutorial.